Welcome back to another edition of Strengthening Oklahoma. This edition of Strengthening Oklahoma is brought to you by Pub W. Whether it is brunch, lunch, happy hour, or dinner, Pub W has it all. Visit pubdub.com or find a location near you. We are currently in bowl season as preparations are beginning. I don't know if this is like a winter conditioning, early winter conditioning with Schmitty for the guys. But post-regular season, getting ready for what we now know is a Cheez-It Bowl, Florida State, Oklahoma in Orlando, coming up December the 29th. And we welcome in one of our favorites, one of everybody's favorites, linebacker extraordinaire, Mr. Danny Stutsman. Danny, how are you doing today, man?
Doing great, man. Always a pleasure to be on the show. Excited.
Always a pleasure to have you, Mr. Stutzman. You know, obviously season did not go the way a lot of people had thought. A lot of people had planned, but it's a season in the books. Find out you're going to the Cheez-It Bowl. Just your thoughts on that back in your home state of Florida. So what'd you think about the Florida State-Oklahoma matchup in the Cheez-It Bowl?
Man, honestly, I was really excited to hear those news. I mean, I grew up, I'm 20 minutes away from where we're playing. And my sister went to Florida State. And I grew up kind of a Florida State fan, going to all the games. And there was some stuff that happened with my recruitment there, just so it's nice to be able to play them back at home. Like it's kind of like it's a once in a lifetime game, a game I'm probably never gonna forget. And I'm so excited, man. I've had so many people back home just kind of blowing up my phone. My dad's pumped. My whole family's excited. It's really a blessing.
Hold on. Now, and we don't have to get into it if you don't want to, but you said, did something happen with your recruitment to Florida State? Like, is there some drama there? Or once again, you don't have to get into it if you don't want to, but I just picked up on that. What's going on there, huh?
I mean, kind of just in general, a lot of the in-school, like Miami, Florida, and Florida State weren't really heavy on me, like in my recruitment. And I know Florida State had a highly recruited linebacker committed. And, they're kind of talking to me a little bit. And then he decommitted. And then I was already committed to Oklahoma, and then they started recruiting me. So it's kind of like, all right, I see how it is kind of thing. But, I'm happy to be where I'm at and let's just fuel the fire.
I like it. I like it a lot. That will be good, man. It's two big-time brands. Florida State a little bit back this year, starting to play some really good football. Mike Norvell's got that program heading in the right direction. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure you haven't even had a chance to look at them yet, but since you're familiar with the program, have you had a chance to watch much of them? Jordan Travis, quarterback, got a three-headed monster, a running back, some big receivers. Have you had a chance to watch much at all what they've done this year?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched some of their games throughout the years, and when it got announced yesterday, I was watching a little bit of films, watching some of their games. I'm excited for that one, like I said earlier. And they got some weapons all around. I mean, I grew up, I know what they can do. I know what they have. They have talent all over the place. And just getting ready now.
So it seems like there's some doubters, man. Like the response, from some of the fan base, from a lot of the people that cover college football at the national level, viewing this as not a good matchup for you guys. How do you kind of handle that? Because do you take it as disrespect or do you ignore it? Like, how do you guys approach that?
I mean, we kind of the outside noise is always going to be there. I think, we kind of just handle ourselves as a team. Everything's in-house, I mean, there's always going to be doubters, everything we do, there's always going to be, especially like with kind of how the year's gone. It's kind of what you expect. We're up for the challenge. I think the preparation is going to be there. The hard work's going to be there. And we're just excited, kind of have the underdog feel to us, really just got nothing to lose. And we're going to come out fired up and just do whatever we can.
Be a great way to close out the season on a season that didn't go the way you thought. Close out this year, kind of kick off next season into fall camp. I'm sure that'll be top of mind for you guys. Do you know many of the players, like since you're from right around there? I know that they got quite a few Florida players, like any guys that you played with or against in high school on that team?
I grew up with one of the guys, like one of the closer guys who I played with, like growing up my entire life. And so I know a few guys there, but I'm not really anyone that's really like, a big time player for them right now. But there's a lot of younger guys, I'm still younger myself. But I keep track of those players, so I know what they're doing and what they're capable of.
So there's going to be a lot of OU fans making the trip. So since that's your neck of the woods, man, what do they got to do? Like what spots do they have to hit down there in that Orlando area?
I mean, there's so much, man. With Orlando, there's a long list, and obviously you have Disney World, Universal, and even like there's like the Orlando Eyes all there. I mean, downtown Orlando, there's a ton of stuff to do. It's just there's really so much in Orlando. I could go on for hours and hours and hours, but the food's great. There's always entertainment. I think really my dad could probably write a whole list. I'll give him something for the fans, since kind of take his mind off football, because I think he needs that.
I did last year the Cheez-It and the Citrus for TV, and those are great bowls, man. Like they put on a great show. That time of year is an awesome place to be. Obviously, you grew up there, so I would highly recommend to all the Oklahoma fans a chance to watch a great game and a really good bowl in a fun city. Orlando definitely has all that. You said something a second ago that it grabbed me, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, he is still young. Like, feels like you've been here for like 4 years, because you played a lot of football last year, especially the latter half of the season as a true freshman. And then this season, obviously, you barely even left the field, but you're only a sophomore. I mean, you still have a lot of football left in front of you. How big of a step did you think you made throughout the course of the season from maybe first Big 12 game to the last Big 12 game? How much further along did you think you came as far as understanding the defense, understand how you fit within this defense, and just your sophomore season?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been so much improvement. I mean, every single day of practice, we're always trying to get better, especially with Coach Venables. And I think from where I've started, where I've gone, there's been drastic improvement, but there's still so much more I can improve upon. I mean, I hate like looking back at it, doing the drills that we do now. I've made tremendous strides, but I'm still here feeling I still have a long ways to go. I still know I have so much raw potential, or I'm still a young player. And I'm trying to figure it out as I go, and I have all the resources here that are going to help me to do what I need to become to be a great player. I'm excited for that, and I know I have all the people like in my corner that are going to help me out and do what I need to do to be the player I can be.
So, playing backer in a Brent Venables defense is not easy. What has that entire experience been like for you this season, right? Your first year starting, right? What's it been like? Everything that comes with playing that position for that man's defense. What's it been like for you this first season?
Yeah, I mean, being out there, I mean, pretty much me and David. David plays Mike, I play the Will. And I think when we're both out there, it takes, always hands-on communication from us. And we always got to recognize the formation, recognize the fronts. Each front has its own calls on how we set that. And there's a lot of little moving pieces. I think we've come together and we've made so much improvement. And there's still so much more we need to do to get where we need to be. And I think with how Coach Venables wants and how much he's on us, we're going to make those strides. And, we're already seeing so much improvement, just how we study, how we focus, and how we play the game. I know there's still way more that we can do, way more we can get better at.
What is your focus for this bowl practices? Like, as you guys get ready to start practicing, whether it's this week or next week, obviously I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit of game prep, but a lot of bowls sometimes is, you kind of reset fundamentals. For you individually, what do you think that you'll be really focusing in on to try to finish the season on a strong high note?
I mean, really just leadership. That's someplace I want to be next year, to come in as a guy who can, I'm ready to take on that role. And I think I kind of started that later in the second half of the season, and that's what I want to keep building upon. I want to take on that responsibility, and it starts, with those practices. You can't really slack off because everyone's always watching you. I got to kind of set the standard with how I conduct myself on and off the field constantly, and just hold myself to the standard so other people can follow that.
So I feel like I just have to ask these types of questions to put the fan base at ease. You're planning on playing in the bowl game, correct? And then you have no intention of entering the transfer portal, right?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna play in the bowl game. I'm definitely here to stay. I mean, the University of Oklahoma has been such a blessing for myself. I couldn't imagine a world where I left this great university. I mean, there's been the ups and downs, but I'm just so blessed to be in the position that I am. I really do love it here, and I really do love everyone that's been here, and I couldn't have wished for a better place to be.
Could we get that in blood? Like, maybe if you could cut yourself and ink that, because I think these days, like, you've got to have more than just someone's word, like, right? It's got to be a blood oath. So come on, get the knife out, Danny. Let's go. Don't mess around here. No, I'm just kidding.
But might get to or something like that, just so no one knows.
That's great to hear, man. And I honestly, I wouldn't expect anything different, but like, it's crazy. Like, this portal world is nuts. It's insane. Like, just how many people around the country today are getting into the transfer portal as it opened up on Monday, and you see more and more every single day. And and then it's like, and that thing's still open for 45 days. So you just never quite know. What is that like from your perspective, just seeing teammates and guys that around college football hopping in the portal and bouncing around? Like, when you see all these type of things, any thoughts or any perspective on what that's like, to, even though you're not in the portal, but to see it, to be in a part of college football at a time when it's running so rampant?
I mean, yeah, I usually have Twitter deleted, but I re-download it, just like where we at right now. And just looking at, every time I feel like I refresh it, I see about like 20 new players are entering the portal. And I think, it's honestly it's a little scary for a second for someone entering that portal. It's so many other players are in there, so it's kind of tough, man. It's hard. Some great guys that were a good 2 or 3 years ago, they don't have that film. So they went in the portal, they're going to go off the trust they built 3 years ago with coaches they haven't talked to in years. So I mean, it can be a little scary for some guys, and it's a new opportunity for some players that kind of just need it. And I'm blessed to have it, but it's definitely hard to manage all that.
There's no doubt, man. It just, things have changed so much, and just a lot of movement now, like just a lot of movement. But it's a busy time in college football, especially for the coaches, right? They got to start getting y'all ready for the bowl game. They've got recruiting, the transfer portal, like all of this stuff, right, with the early signing day coming up. But what's your schedule right now? Like, what's kind of the players' schedule, the like day-to-day right now before you guys really ramp up and start bowl practice?
I mean, right now, it's kind of just graduation right now. That's kind of the main focus. It always has been. So it's kind of just locking on the grades. We have an early morning lift around 6 a.m. We kind of just, rest of the days for schoolwork, and we come back up around 3 to 4 and for some skills and drills, just kind of just player-led stuff, get better as a team, kind of just keep our legs moving. But, right now it's pretty much, finals are coming up, we have to lock in, get our grades right, and just, it's a good time right now.
Things that I don't miss about college football finals week. Oh, man.
It's stressful, man.
Are you, I don't know. I'm sure Gabe was much better. Gabe was, I was a decent student. Gabe was like a freak show smart student. But like finals week, I was like living in the library. Like, I was a big crammer. Like, I was probably taking like trucker pills and all kinds of weird things to stay up as late as I could to get myself ready. Are you a late night crammer for exams, or do you do a good job throughout the course of the year to have yourself prepared and ready?
I would say I'm more of like an early morning crammer. I kind of get my, right before the exam, try and learn as much as I can. And, I feel like I'm pretty smart enough where I can do that, and I can manage off a pretty good grade. But, it's hard to really manage everything with school and everything, but they do provide us with tutors where I'm not behind at all. I kind of know the content that I'm getting prepared for, so I can do that and still be well off.
That's the most linebacker answer I've, like, I got to feel the rush of just cramming right before the test, baby. You people are nuts. Just study throughout the year, guys, and you don't have to do that. Come on, what are we doing?
I'm studying film, man. You know how it is.
That's right. Yeah, he doesn't. He was too busy with his academia to worry about that. I'll just say this though, good on you, like taking your school serious. You rarely even hear that anymore. I mean, like I don't even know the last time I talked to a player that told me they were even worried about their grades and exams, and that's good. Good for you, man. That regardless if you use it or not, you'll be proud that you took care of business and you got that degree, and so are your parents. And there's
Absolutely.
never. Go ahead.
No, absolutely. Just that's especially the parents, man. You got that degree can do so much for people, especially especially with that port. Sometimes it's hard to play. It's good to have that degree. That'll get you so much further in life.
No question.
Now,
So
sometimes you get a degree and you do absolutely nothing that relates to it later in life, but it's still good to have it.
yes,
That's a good point.
gotta have it, man. It's a sense of accomplishment, and you're well on your way. All right, let's get some fan questions in here. Fan questions brought to you by Love's Travel Stops. Visit loves.com for more information on the nation's leading travel stop network that's headquartered right here in the great state of Oklahoma. Ryan L. kind of asked something similar earlier, but what do you think improved the most this season, not just with you, but on the defense? As you were sitting there becoming more and more of a leader, what do you think you saw the defense really improve upon from maybe something they struggled early on?
I mean, I think just the overall understanding of the scheme. You know, I think come in, we had a big playbook that we had to understand, and something like that takes time. You know, I think there's been a lot of extra hours put in to kind of understand that defense and know what we're doing. And obviously, it's not perfect right now. We know that, and we're still over here trying as hard as we can to learn this and master it. And that's something that you never can fully master, but we're gonna do everything we can to get to that point where every single guy on that field knows exactly what they're doing, exactly what everyone else around them is doing. And that's just something that, yeah, you can know your job, but as a linebacker, you gotta know when to spill and when to lever, depending on where your help is. And just those little things that can really make or break a defense.
And you got to feel with that improvement you guys made throughout the season that's setting you up for what could be a fun year next year, right?
Absolutely. I think, we led I think the nation in TFLs, and people say that's a misleading stat, but I think there's so much untapped potential, and Coach Venables knows you can see what he's done with defenses before. I mean, there's a written process to this. I know we're going to figure it out, and we're excited because it's all going to come together. It's all going to click.
I like it. All right, this last one comes from Sam H. What was your favorite game of the season?
That's a tough question, man. I really love being out there with I gotta say Bedlam though, because being out there with all the seniors, man, really just making that moment coming out, especially with how the defense played that game. It was really just nice, just especially for David and Deshaun and Justin Broyles too. Just kind of seeing them after the game, just how he felt. It's just truly like you never forget a game like that.
No doubt, man. I thought it was y'all's most complete game as well. And on a night really after the first quarter, the offense was non-existent. You guys had to play 4 full quarters. That's exactly what you did. That was a great performance, and definitely one to look back and say, you know what? This is the standard. This is where we want to be each and every week. If you guys can get to that place, there's going to be a lot of really quality games in this defense's future. Man, always a pleasure to get a chance to talk with you. And just want to make sure, so just one more time. So Oklahoma fans have nothing to worry about whatsoever as it relates to you entering the transfer portal, right?
Yes, 100% committed to the University of Oklahoma. That's how they put it.
Come on.
I love that. We love that. Signed, sealed, delivered. He isn't going anywhere. He's our guy, Danny Stutsman. Danny, it's always a pleasure, man. Thanks for the time.
Thank you so much.
All right, now it's time for me and my man Gabe to break it down. The breakdown brought to you by the Oklahoma Proton Center, one of the top cancer centers in the region, using state-of-the-art proton therapy. Oklahoma Proton Center, more than a cure, quality of life. Okay, Danny Stutsman, great news for Sooner Nation. Breathe a sigh of relief. I obviously kid. I didn't think that he was going to be going anywhere. Would have been shocking if he had, but I almost feel like you have to pin someone down and literally get them to sign something in blood for it to be real these days. You just never know. Some of the names that we've seen in college football that have entered the portal, I mean, it's expected. We knew it was coming, but even still, I see someone, I'm like, wow, some of these guys are jumping in the portal. And as we've said the last couple of episodes, it's just wild. But I think one of the more important and one of the more popular players, a part of this Oklahoma defensive football team. No worries for Sooner Nation. Danny Stutsman not going anywhere. That is good news for all.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I won't lie, him talking about growing up watching Florida State and like how fired up he sounds about this matchup and about this opportunity. I don't know. It made me feel better about the game. Just knowing that, one of the leaders on the team is like ultra invested, for multiple reasons, not just because you have another opportunity to go play with your teammates. Like, yeah, that's great, but it's his hometown. It sounds like he feels a little slighted by the Seminoles and how his recruitment panned out. So I don't know. It just made me feel better that, especially the defense, like they're going to have an edge to them as they prepare for this, because Stutzman's going to bring that. I like that. It makes me feel better about the matchup. It does.
I just loved whenever he said, as soon as he found out, he started watching film. It's like, yes, that's what I want to hear. Yeah, all the stuff you said is great. It's right. It's going to mean a lot to him. It's going to matter. He's going to be very energized, and you hear him talk about wanting to take on that bigger leadership role. That's going to permeate throughout that defense, and that's exactly what you need. You need as many guys like that with that approach, that mindset, heading down to Orlando and the preparation leading up to it as you can get. And I'll tell you what, with the quarterback run game that they have, and especially they got 3 different running backs, and Trey Benson in particular, the Oregon transfer, he's a big physical runner. They run a lot of counter. They're going to run counter a lot. And it's going to have to be fit right. And it's going to be imperative that those backers, and Danny's right there at the very top, fit those things up perfectly and play those properly, or there's going to be creases and there's going to be opportunities in the run game. Florida State wants to line up and run the football. In their last 5 games, they had at least 225 yards a game on the ground. And right off that, they get into their RPO game, and Jordan Travis is just becoming more and more of a confident thrower. So I think that the backers are going to have as much stress put on them. And as we've talked about, the run fits not always being perfect this season, even him talking right there about when to spill, how to properly leverage things, just the exact alignment, and talking about how much they improved just from an understanding of how the defense works and how they all fit inside of it. That's going to have to be on display against Florida State. It's going to be absolutely imperative that those things happen, and he's going to be as important a player in this bowl game as Oklahoma has. So I'm glad that he's already got the right mindset for the game, because he's going to need to step up and play well.
No doubt about it. And you mentioned Florida State kind of majoring in the counter concept. Well, luckily, and I know the bowl practices are about developing some of the young guys, right? Getting them valuable practice reps, kind of putting them under a microscope, seeing how they respond, all those things. But you also go good on good, and Oklahoma's best running concepts this year have been counter.
Yep.
So you're going to be able to get some of those good on good reps when it comes to, the first team offense and the first team defense, getting that defense ready for what they're going to see from the Seminoles. So there is that's a good thing, but it's a tough matchup, man. I know we've talked about it. Florida State's a very talented football team that is coming in with a ton of confidence. And, right before we started recording this, Jordan Travis announces he's coming back for 2023, and he's staying at Florida State.
Yep.
So that's got a lot of people down there excited. They're going to come into this game with some serious energy, and it sounds, just from talking to some people around that program, it sounds like all their dudes are playing.
Yep.
So better prepare, better get ready, because tough test is coming.
Yeah, my co-host, as you know, in the morning is a Florida State alum, and we started talking about this last week because there was a realization that this could be the matchup. And he talked to a lot of people in Tallahassee, and they're fired up. They're, regardless if it's Oklahoma or anybody, like the team they're all in. They want to get 10 wins. They want to make a statement. Right? They're going to have a chance to win the ACC next year. And Jordan Travis can have a chance to be in the conversation for the Heisman Trophy. And the way the end of this season ended, if they could stamp it with a 6th straight victory, a 10th win in the season, that would really mark the strides they've made this year. And I know it's important to a lot of people in that program. But you know what? It would also be a great way to end the season for Oklahoma. And 7-6 is a heck of a lot better than 6-7. And I just hope, and I believe that they will, the people that Oklahoma has able to play and ready to show up will have the right approach, have the right mindset. I know Dylan's going to be ready to go. I think all indications are he's back next season. So I think everybody should prepare for that. I think that's great, positive news. We should have coming out pretty soon. So there are going to be some key components that are back. There's going to be some pieces out. Defensively, I mean, outside of Jalen Redmond, I mean, I kind of expecting just about everybody to be back defensively, right? I mean, is there anybody that you can think of that might miss this game? I think for the most part, they should be pretty good to go defensively.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as Redmond getting that Senior Bowl invite and deciding to opt out of the bowl game, that's understandable, right? I get it, especially with the injury issues he's had throughout his career. But other than that, we haven't heard about, I know some guys that, haven't played much, if at all, have hopped into the transfer portal on the defensive side, but seems like all the major contributors should be available and ready to go for this football game. And it's a big opportunity, right? I get it. A lot of people think they're going to go down there and get whooped. It's just the truth. But just coming from personal experience, it is very possible to go win a bowl game that everyone thinks you're going to lose.
Sure.
It can happen. So I'm most concerned with these guys prepping the right way and, taking some momentum down to Orlando and playing well. That's what, like, if you lose, hey, okay. But I want to watch this group fly around and play well.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And I'm talking with Danny Stutsman, like you said just a little bit ago, gives you some confidence. That's exactly the way they're going to approach this game. That's the mindset that they're going to have. Big thanks to Muse Growth Strategies for continuing to help us spread the word about strengthening Oklahoma. Continue to subscribe to our podcasts on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. You can check out our website, strengtheningok.com, and continue to support our great athletes. And whether you've been here from day one or maybe this is your first podcast, we appreciate you. We thank you. And we'll see you again next time right here on Strengthening Oklahoma.